Okay, so on one hand, you have this massive global TV hit about the lives of British aristocrats and all the people who work for them. And on the other, a cult favorite YouTube series made completely inside Minecraft about a brand new maid walking into a house that is just full of secrets. Now, both of these stories are about servants in a giant fancy house, but the way they tell that story, they are worlds apart. So that brings us to the big question we're tackling today. Between a giant of television and this hidden gem from the internet, which one actually tells the better story from the servant's point of view? Which one really nails it? So, in one corner, we've got Downton Abbey. You know it, you love it, the historical drama that pretty much everyone has heard of. And in the other corner, we have Whitepine, a scripted mystery series that uses the blocky world of Minecraft as its stage to tell this super compelling story for a really dedicated online audience. To really answer our big question, we first need to set the stage. We gotta look at the world of each story. You know, what are the stakes, and who are we really following when the curtain first comes up?
All right, so Downton Abbey kicks off on this huge historical scale. It's 1912, and news that the Titanic has sunk just reached the Crawley family. The thing is, this disaster kills the two male heirs to their entire estate, which throws the family's future, their fortune, everything into total chaos. The drama starts with this massive, external, world-changing event that mainly affects the people at the very top.
But Whitepine, oh man, it starts so differently. It doesn't begin with a global disaster, but with something way more personal and honestly terrifying. Our main character, a young woman named Ivory, shows up at this remote place called the Whitepine Estate. It's her first day as a maid. But instead of a warm welcome, she's thrown into this house that is just cold, tense, and it's reeling from a murder that just happened. The problem isn't out there in the world, it's right there, inside the house.
And this quote from Ivory just says it all. A detective is questioning her about a murdered staff member, and it's her second day. This is her answer. I mean, think about it. She doesn't know anyone, she doesn't know the rules, and she is already tangled up in a murder investigation. For her, the tension is immediate, it's personal, and it's just completely claustrophobic. Okay, so you have these two totally different starting points. How does that actually affect the day-to-day life of the servants? Let's go below stairs and see how each show really portrays that world.
In Downton, the downstairs world is like this busy, well-oiled machine. It's a community. Everybody knows their place, from Mr. Carson, the butler, all the way down to the scullery maid. And yeah, the work is hard, but there's a real sense of family and belonging there. In Whitepine, the vibe is the complete opposite. It's isolating and it's suspicious. The rules are super rigid, and they're enforced with this kind of unnerving seriousness. When another maid is showing Ivory around, she's warned, don't speak unless spoken to. The whole hierarchy isn't about social order. It feels like a tool for control and intimidation. It really boils down to this. In Downton, you're part of a family. In Whitepine, you're a potential suspect.
You know, these completely different atmospheres really point to a fundamental difference in what these shows even are. We're talking about two totally different genres. Downton is this sweeping historical drama, while Whitepine is a really tightly wound psychological thriller.
So, Downton's whole story gets going because of a real-world disaster that creates a big problem for the elite. It's historical drama, right? But Whitepine gets ignited by a murder inside the house. And that immediately frames the story not as a drama that you can just watch from a distance, but as a mystery you have to solve from within. It creates this constant creeping sense of dread.
And of course, these very different worlds are filled with characters who might seem familiar at first, but they are twisted into very different shapes. So let's take a look at some of the key character types.
In Downton, we've got the butler, Mr. Carson. He sees himself as this guardian of tradition and honor. He is loyal to the family. In Whitepine, the butler, Clown Pierce, feels less like a guardian and more like a warden. I mean, when Ivory even suggests the murderer might be someone in the house, he shuts her down hard. There will be no discussion of that, understood? His authority isn't about keeping things in order, it's about suppressing the truth.
Both stories have a newcomer, an outsider. In Downton, John Bates is this guy who's haunted by his past, and his whole struggle is about finding his place in this established social system. In Whitepine, Ivory is basically us, our eyes and ears. She's quiet, she's observant, and her struggle isn't about fitting in, it's about surviving in this dangerous world that she just doesn't understand.
So what about the masters of the house? Well, Downton's Lord Grantham is basically the good aristocrat. He's kind, he's fair, a real patriarch.
The Hemlock family of Whitepine are something else entirely. They are these distant, mysterious figures. Ivory serves the young master, Pyroscythe, and their interactions are so formal and just deeply unnerving. There is absolutely no fatherly warmth there, only this cold, unsettling distance that feels like a constant threat.
So you take these characters in these settings, and what you end up with are two fundamentally different kinds of conflict that pull the stories in completely opposite directions.
So Downton's drama is all about social change. Will the estate survive? Who's going to marry who? It's about navigating these huge changes happening in the world outside the house. But Whitepine is driven by internal secrecy. Who's the killer? Who can you possibly trust? What is being hidden inside these walls? And this changes everything for us, the viewer. Downton asks you to be an observer of history. Whitepine forces you to become a detective.
So, let's pull all of these threads together and try to reach a final verdict.
Which, of course, brings us right back to where we started. After looking at the premises, the atmospheres, the characters, and the conflicts, which series tells the servant in a great house story better?
Well, the truth is, it's not really about one being definitively better. They are playing two completely different games. Downton Abbey is just a masterclass in historical world-building. It explores class and loyalty with so much warmth and nostalgia. Whitepine, on the other hand, excels at creating this suffocating atmosphere of tension. It uses its unique Minecraft stage to tell a serialized mystery that is deeply psychological and really immersive. They're just trying to do different things.
And maybe the biggest difference is this. Downton Abbey really romanticizes the past. It gives us this elegant, almost perfect vision of a world where everyone knows their place. It shows us the beauty of it. But Whitepine, it just strips all of that away. By putting us in the shoes of this powerless, isolated newcomer, it shows us just how terrifying that exact same world could actually feel from the very, very bottom.
So, which perspective do you find more compelling? The grand, historical drama or the intimate, tense mystery? I'm really curious to know what you think. Let us know which one you believe tells the better story down in the comments. Thanks for watching.